Next up, we're going to make some adjustments to our planes and the materials inside of the scene so that we have it just right before we start modeling. So as we can see, when we go to our 4-panel view, we can see that we've got this sort of a white shade. This is basically a specularity coming out on top of our planes. It's just the reflection of the light on it. So what we want to do is we want to be able to get rid of that. We want to make it so that as we model, we're not able to select on the reference planes of the scene, so that as we're modeling, we're not clicking on it and moving things around by accident. And we also want to get rid of the back sides of our polys, because as we move around, they get in the way of what we're going to be modeling on. So we want to make sure that we're not seeing that part of it. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll start with getting rid of the back side of the polys. We want to not draw that side. We're going to go into our attribute editor. And with some geometry selected, we can go into our p-plane object and into our render states. And down here at the bottom, we'll see a double-sided. If we left click on it, that is going to get rid of that back side for us. So I'm just going to select on the next one, uncheck the double-sided, uncheck the double-sided, and now this way we have that out of the way. And the next thing we want to do is get rid of that little highlight sheen that comes across the plane. And to do that, what we want to do is select on the geometry and go into our material. And then in our material, we have a specular shading rollout. And in that one, we have a specular color. So we want to take that color. If you take it up higher, it's going to make that brighter. You notice how it changes. What we want to do is take that down to the black, to the dark, so that we don't get any of that specularity reflecting off the polygon for us. Alright, so let's go ahead and select on the next one. Make sure that we're in our material and the specular color, and we'll just pull that one down. And our next one there, specular color down. And now as we rotate around, you can see how the backside doesn't get in the way and the shine doesn't come across while we're working on it. So that's going to work really good. The last thing we want to do is we want to be able to pull all these pieces into one layer. So we're just going to shift and left click to add it to a selection. We're going to add that selection to a layer. So I'm going to go to my channel box, and in my channel box I've got layers. So I'm going to left click on the layers down here at the bottom, and then I'm going to do create layer from selected, because I've got some things selected. So I'm just going to add that to the selected, and this is going to create the layer for me. It adds all of those pieces into that layer. So now if I adjust some of the properties of the layer, I can affect the control of that layer. So on this little empty one here at the end, if we click it once, we get transparent and you can't see anything. We click it one more time, we get R for reference. So now we have a reference plane. And if you try left clicking in the scene, you're unable to select on any of the geometry in there. If you click one more time, it goes back to a blank and you can make a selection. So very easily you can go through and add and remove the control that you want while you're working on modeling out our friendly little spider. Alright, so the scene is now completely prepped and ready, and we'll get started with making the body.